What if the first hour after your last drink is when your body begins its most heroic rescue mission? It doesn't feel that way, of course. You're groggy, your head is foggy, and your mouth is dry like Arizona pavement at noon. But behind the scenes, something extraordinary is happening. Your liver, an organ about the size of a football, quietly humming under your ribs, is launching an all-out operation to eliminate ethanol, the molecule that made you feel bold, loose, maybe even invincible just hours ago. But here's the paradox. The same molecule that lights up the party is also classified by your body as a toxin. Charming, isn't it? So what's going on inside you right now? Ethanol enters your bloodstream fast. It doesn't ask for permission. Within minutes, it travels straight to your brain and starts flipping switches. Think of it like a bad electrician rerouting your house's circuits. It binds to glutamate receptors, slowing reaction time, and enhances GABA signals, dulling your alertness. The result? That wobbly, fuzzy feeling we call drunk. But once you stop drinking, the party's over, and the cleanup begins. Your liver starts converting ethanol into acetaldehyde, a compound that is even more toxic. Luckily, it doesn't stick around for long. Another enzyme jumps in to break it down into acetate, which eventually turns into water and carbon dioxide. You breathe some of it out, you sweat the rest. You pee like a racehorse. Ever wondered why? It's because alcohol messes with your antidiuretic hormone, telling your kidneys to stop conserving water, so you dehydrate faster than you think. That pounding head, that cotton mouth, that's your body yelling for balance. Meanwhile, your brain is struggling to find its rhythm again. Alcohol disrupts the natural sleep cycle, increasing alpha wave activity waves that should only appear when you're awake. So even if you pass out, your brain doesn't rest. It spins in circles, confused, exhausted, glitching like a computer forced to dream in static. Isn't it ironic? The thing many people use to unwind ends up preventing real rest. But here's the good news. Even in this chaos, your body is fighting for you. Every enzyme, every cell, every drop of sweat is part of a silent rebellion against toxicity. And within just a few hours, the tide begins to turn. So what happens next? What will your body rebuild tomorrow, if you let it? Stick around. Want me to write the next part? What happens 24 hours after you quit drinking based on the same tone and framework? 24 hours. That's all it takes for your immune system to come back online like a city's power grid rebooting after a blackout. For nearly a day, your body has been scrambling to clear the chemical wreckage ethanol left behind. But now, with the worst of the fog lifted, your white blood cells are finally returning to work. Quietly, efficiently, as if nothing happened. It's easy to forget that alcohol doesn't just cloud your mind, it suppresses your body's entire defense network. It slows immune cell production, impairs communication between them, and makes it harder to detect and eliminate invaders. That's why frequent drinkers often catch colds more easily or heal more slowly after an injury. It's not just bad luck, it's biology. But here's the twist. If you've been drinking heavily night after night, week after week, this moment of recovery might feel more like withdrawal than relief. Why? Because your brain has adjusted to alcohol like it's the new normal. It's been rewired to expect ethanol's calming grip. So when you take that away, it panics. Your hands begin to tremble. Cold sweats roll down your spine. Your heart races like you've just run from something, except you haven't moved. Nausea kicks in, maybe even anxiety or waves of dread. It's not weakness, it's chemistry. The absence of alcohol sends your nervous system into overdrive. It's trying to recalibrate, but without its usual crutch, the balance tips hard in the other direction. For some, these symptoms are mild. For others, they're brutal. And yet, paradoxically, these symptoms are signs of healing. Your body is unlearning dependence, rebuilding its internal systems without artificial help. Every drop of sweat, every shaky breath is part of this biological reset. Still, it's fair to ask, how long will this storm last? The truth is, it depends on your habits, on your biology, on how long alcohol had control. But one thing's certain, the storm does pass. And on the other side, a system that runs cleaner, sharper, stronger. So what changes begin on day 3? Ready to find out? By day 3, something surprising begins to happen. Your body, once strained like a machine running hot, is starting to cool down. Slowly, steadily, your blood pressure drops. Your heart no longer has to beat like it's escaping danger. For the first time in days, there's space between each breath. Calm doesn't just return, it settles. How is this possible? Alcohol, for all its social charm, is a stimulant disguised as a depressant. It nudges your nervous system into overdrive, increasing cortisol, the stress hormone, and forcing your heart to work harder than it should. Think of it like keeping your car engine revving all night in neutral. No destination, just where. But now, with ethanol out of the equation, your system can finally reset its rhythm. The autonomic nervous system, your body's autopilot, is no longer reacting to false alarms. Your vascular walls start to relax. Blood flows more smoothly, pressure eases. And the result? You begin to feel different. Maybe you're less irritable. Maybe you sleep a little deeper. Maybe the constant hum of stress, the one you didn't even realize was there, starts to fade. It's subtle, like noticing silence after a long, loud concert. You don't fully grasp how loud life had gotten until it's quiet again. Doctors in the US have been saying this for years. If you suffer from hypertension, one of the first lifestyle changes they'll suggest is cutting back on alcohol. Not eliminating joy, just removing the spike. Because even 1 or 2 drinks can cause temporary surges in blood pressure. Multiply that by years, and the effect is anything but temporary. But this isn't just about heart health, it's about emotional stability. You might find you're more patient in traffic, less reactive during meetings, more present at dinner. And that's not because alcohol made you a bad person, it's because your brain is finally operating without interference. 3 to 5 days in, and already you're clearer, calmer, and more in control. What will your body unlock after a full week? Let's keep going. Want the next part? It doesn't sound like much, but inside your body, a quiet transformation is unfolding. By day 7, you might notice something odd. Your cravings begin to fade. Not just for alcohol, but for food, especially junk food. That late-night pizza, the drive-through fries? Suddenly, they don't scream your name the way they used to. Why? Because alcohol hijacks your hunger hormones. It spikes ghrelin, the I'm starving signal, and crashes leptin, the I'm full one. That's why drinking makes you want to eat more, and often worse. But after a week without booze, these hormones begin to re-regulate. Cravings mellow out. Appetite normalizes. And with that comes something millions of Americans secretly want: weight loss. Not through crash diets or magic pills, but simply through removing hundreds of empty, sugary calories from your week. A glass of wine, 120. A beer, 150. A night out, easily 600, 1000. Your body no longer has to guess what to do with all that excess. It just runs cleaner. But the changes aren't just on the inside. Look in the mirror. Notice your skin? Maybe it's clearer. Maybe it feels less tight, less flaky. That's hydration talking. Alcohol is a diuretic. It blocks your antidiuretic hormone, ADH, telling your kidneys to flush out water instead of holding onto it. That's why drinking leads to frequent urination and dehydration. But now, with ADH back in balance, your body is reabsorbing more water. Cells plump back up, skin regains elasticity, eyes brighten. You don't just feel better, you look it. And yet, none of this feels extreme. There's no detox juice, no punishing cleanse, just your body finally functioning as it was designed to. So what comes next? If 7 days can do this, what might week 2 unlock? 2 weeks in. By now, you might feel it before you can explain it. Something in your mind is sharper, like a window has been cleaned, like fog you didn't even know was there has lifted. That's not just in your head, it is your head. After 2 weeks without alcohol, your brain begins repairing the neural pathways that ethanol disrupted. Remember, alcohol slows down communication between neurons by messing with neurotransmitters like glutamate and GABA. It's like throwing a wet blanket over your brain's electrical grid. But the brain is resilient, almost magical in its ability to bounce back. With no alcohol interrupting the signal, neurons start to reconnect. Synaptic activity increases. Your focus tightens, memory stabilizes. That word you kept forgetting, now it comes easily. You walk into a room. And remember why. You're not becoming superhuman, you're just becoming you, unmuted. And while your brain is doing its invisible work, your kidneys are doing the heavy lifting down below. They've spent years filtering ethanol and its byproducts, compensating for dehydration and hormone disruption. But now, freed from that burden, they begin to repair. Their job is delicate: balance water, manage electrolytes, regulate blood pressure, filter waste. Alcohol throws all of that into chaos. But 2 weeks in, their filtration rate improves. They regulate sodium and potassium more precisely. Hormonal signaling begins to normalize. Your body doesn't just feel more balanced, it is. So where does all this leave you? With a brain that remembers, a body that hydrates, and an engine that runs smoother. And the best part? You're only halfway to the biggest transformation. At 3 weeks, an even more powerful organ begins to regenerate, the one that's been absorbing the most damage all along. Are you ready to meet your liver's second chance? 3 to 4 weeks without alcohol, and something remarkable begins deep within you. Your liver, scarred, overworked, and underestimated, finally exhales. This is the organ that has quietly absorbed years of late nights, happy hours, and just one more moments. It never complained. It just worked, filtering every drop, breaking down every toxin, shielding your body from the chaos you poured into it. But now, for the first time in what might be years, your liver isn't drowning. It's rebuilding. Liver cells, called hepatocytes, are some of the only cells in your body capable of true regeneration. When alcohol is removed, these cells stop putting out fires and start rebuilding the house. Damaged tissues begin to repair. Fibrosis slows. Enzymes normalize. Blood flow through the liver improves. It's like a war zone transforming back into a garden. And you feel it. Maybe it's subtle, a little more energy in the morning, less nausea after meals, fewer digestive surprises. Or maybe it's profounder clarity in your mood, better tolerance for food, a gut that feels balanced for the first time in years. Why? Because your liver isn't just a detox machine. It regulates hundreds of critical processes: metabolizing fat, balancing hormones, storing vitamins, cleansing the blood. But when alcohol floods the system, the liver drops everything to deal with the crisis. Other duties? Put on hold. Now, with that crisis gone, it's catching up. And your entire system benefits. Toxins from food, air, even your own metabolism, things your body used to struggle with, are now handled more efficiently. Your inner ecosystem gets cleaner. Your body becomes less inflamed, less reactive, more adaptive. At this stage, you're not just healing, you're thriving. Not because you added anything, but because you finally took something away. And yet, this is still just the beginning. Because as your liver recovers, your heart is watching. And it's next. 2 months. That's how long it takes for your heart, the quiet drum keeping time beneath your ribs, to start beating with renewed purpose. For years, alcohol may have told your heart to rush, to strain, to keep up with the unnatural rhythms of intoxication. It triggered temporary spikes in blood pressure, it stiffened arterial walls, it raised levels of triglycerides and bad cholesterol, and slowly, invisibly, it wore your heart down. But now your heart is healing. Without the daily chemical stress of alcohol, inflammation begins to subside. Blood pressure stabilizes. The heart muscle, no longer overworked, becomes more efficient, able to pump more blood with less effort. The risk of atrial fibrillation drops, so does the chance of stroke. And perhaps most importantly, your risk of heart attack quietly shrinks with each passing day. But here's where it gets exciting. If you pair sobriety with exercise, even just brisk walks or light jogging, you unlock something even more powerful. Your cardiovascular system begins to adapt. Stronger vessels, better oxygenation, lower resting heart rate. You don't just feel better, you move better. You breathe easier, climb stairs with less effort, wake up less tired. It's not magic, it's physiology unleashed. In the US, where heart disease remains the #1 killer, these changes are more than just personal victories. They're acts of prevention, of rebellion, of taking back control. And it's not about becoming a fitness influencer or chasing a perfect body. It's about building a system that lasts, that shows up for you when you need it most. One that isn't surviving in spite of your choices, but thriving because of them. So what lies ahead after 60 days of clarity? Something deeper. Something that doesn't beat or breathe, but costs. Let's talk about money. 60 days without drinking. And your bank account starts to breathe easier too. It's not the first thing people think of when quitting alcohol, but it shows up quietly, undeniably in your monthly statements. A drink here, around there. That casual happy hour that turned into dinner and another bottle. It adds up. On average, Americans who drink socially spend between $500 to $1,200 a year on alcohol. In major cities like New York, San Francisco, or LA, double it, triple it. And that's not counting tips, ride shares, bar snacks, or the hangover brunch the next day. So when the drinks stop, the numbers shift. You start noticing something strange in your wallet: more money. Not a lottery win, not a raise, just the absence of a leak. Like plugging a hole in a sinking boat and realizing you're finally floating. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Less spending often means less stress. That unconscious anxiety of "can I afford this?" begins to fade. Suddenly, that weekend getaway doesn't feel so out of reach. That online course you always meant to take, now it fits the budget. New running shoes, better groceries, a spa day, even a therapy session, things that felt like luxuries start looking like investments. And when you invest in yourself, life responds in kind. Your mental health improves. Your sense of control sharpens. You stop trading temporary escapes for long-term growth. Not because you're punishing yourself, but because you've remembered what actually feels good. Happiness isn't in the drink, it's in what you get back when the drink is gone. So, you've healed your brain, your liver, your heart, and now your finances. But there's one more layer, one last hidden threat that alcohol carries quietly through the bloodstream. A risk you can't feel until it's too late. Ready to face it? 2 months sober. Your organs are healing. Your wallet is fuller. Your mind is clearer. But beneath all that, deeper than your skin, quieter than your heartbeat, there's something even more profound happening. You're lowering your risk of cancer. Most people don't know this, or maybe they do and don't want to think about it, but it's a scientific fact. Alcohol is a known carcinogen. That's not opinion. That's from the US Department of Health and Human Services. The same list that includes tobacco, smoke, asbestos, and radiation includes ethanol. When you drink, your body breaks alcohol down into acetaldehyde, a toxic compound that damages DNA and stops your cells from repairing themselves properly. And when cells lose the ability to self-repair, mutations form. And where mutations grow, cancer follows. The risks aren't vague either. Heavy drinking is linked to liver cancer, because the liver is your first line of defense, constantly absorbing damage as it processes ethanol. It's also tied to esophageal cancer, because alcohol can irritate the throat lining and make it more vulnerable. And even oral and pharyngeal cancers, yes, just a few drinks a week can slowly erode the barrier between pleasure and harm. But here's the powerful part. The moment you stop drinking, that risk begins to shrink. Day by day, week by week, your cells stabilize, your DNA repairs. The threat doesn't vanish overnight, but it no longer grows. And the longer you stay sober or even just drink less, the stronger your defense becomes. And this isn't a benefit you lose next week or next month. This is the kind that lasts a lifetime. So maybe you're not just making today easier. Maybe you're buying yourself decades. More birthdays, more time with the people you love, more chances to wake up and feel alive. You've come this far, but there's still one last piece of the story, one final twist in the journey. What if we told you that long-term sobriety doesn't just change your body, it redefines your identity? Here's the truth. You don't have to quit alcohol forever to live a better life. Moderate drinking, defined as 1 drink a day for women, 2 for men, is considered safe by most medical standards. For some, it's part of culture, connection, celebration. But that's not the full story, is it? Because now, you know what happens when you take a step back. You've seen what 24 hours, 7 days, 2 months without alcohol can do. Not in theory, in you. Better sleep, clearer thoughts, stronger heart, sharper memory, money in your pocket, peace in your mind. and a body that finally feels like it's working with you, not against you. This isn't about shame. It's not about being good or bad. It's about awareness, about knowing what's really going on beneath the surface every time you take a sip, and deciding, consciously, is this what I need, or just what I've been told I should want? You're not weak for drinking. You're not perfect for quitting. But you are powerful, because now you have the choice. And the real question isn't, can I live without alcohol? It's, what kind of life do I want to build when I'm fully awake inside it? So maybe tonight, you skip the wine. Or maybe next month, you try 30 days dry. Or maybe, you just start asking better questions. Whatever path you take, remember, your body is on your side. And every single cell in it wants you to thrive. So, what kind of life will you choose to pour into yourself? Let it be the good kind, the clear kind, the kind that doesn't burn but builds. And if you're ready for another transformation, we've got more stories waiting. Would you like to explore a similar script about quitting caffeine, sugar, or nicotine next? If this video made you pause even for a second, imagine what the next one could unlock. Like if you learned something new. Share with someone who's thinking about a change. Subscribe to Inner Mind Nut for more science that hits home. Because the smallest facts can lead to the biggest shifts.